All right, I'm here with an updated look at my GameCube collection for 2022. Some viewers of the channel might know GameCube is my all-time favorite console. I think it's great. And this has always been the opinion. I've noticed recently, we all know GameCube has been pretty popular to collect for lately, and that has driven up prices pretty extremely. So, um, but I've always liked the system. It's a system that I've, for the most part, finished my collection for. I'm always adding on to it, but for the most part, I finished my collection for it about 2014, 2015 before prices went up. And it is funny to think, as a side note before I get into that, that back then people were saying, oh, yeah, you don't want to collect for GameCube. GameCube sucks. GameCube is lame. You don't want to collect for GameCube in the retro gaming community. And those same people now are very much into collecting for GameCube now that the prices have gone up. So who knows what that's all about. But I'll get into my collection now. You know, I think it's pretty sizable, so this might take a while. So we'll see how things go. First up, one of my favorites, Animal Crossing. This is a game. This is the copy I had as a kid, and one of the few games I got Adjo Dad into, and he's a true Animal Crossing gamer. He collected all the fish in Animal Crossing, and he's not into fishing in real life. He's just really liked collecting the things, and he had a pretty stacked up character. He was pretty epic. But yeah, I mean, I played so much of this game. I just remember my friend showing me this game, and he said, "Yeah, you have your own town and just kind of do whatever you want." I'm like, "Holy crap, that's amazing!" And yeah, I mean, I really like the original Animal Crossing. There's something interesting to it that the other games didn't capture. It's a lot more Japanese than the later games would end up going on to be. And I don't know, something about it not being online. It's just this little thing is really interesting because it's just like such a strange game looking back compared to what the series would become. But all-time classic. Baten Kaitos, Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean. This is a JRPG. I'm not too into card-based JRPGs, and that is what this is. But this was developed by Monolith Soft. So that's pretty interesting when they were still owned mostly by Namco. This was developed by them, and we obviously know them to go on to develop the Xenoblade series. We have the next game, which this one has actually been published by Nintendo, Baten Kaitos Origins. Not huge, like I said, not huge into the card-based JRPGs, but these are pretty cool games for GameCube. You don't see too many RPGs at all on GameCube, so sometimes you gotta just take what you can get. Batman Vengeance. It's an alright Batman game. Nothing special, but kind of a far cry from what we would get from the Arkham games, and kind of showed us how you could actually do superhero games. But for the time, I mean, there's way worse. There's that Kemco Batman game on GameCube, which is just horrible. Battalion Wars, pretty fun strategy game. I feel like this one goes overlooked a lot from GameCube fans, but this is a first-party Nintendo game. But yeah, I feel like this one goes overlooked. Definitely one to add to your collection. Beyond Good and Evil. Very cool game. Kind of a cult classic now. Obviously didn't sell very well, but really cool game. You know, we're supposed to be getting a sequel at some point. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, but good time to go back to the classic if you haven't played it. Interesting period for Ubisoft when they were actually like putting out interesting stuff, and there's not 47 Assassin's Creed games and 78 Far Cry games that are all the same game. Interesting time for them. Bloody Roar Primal Fury. Everyone had their fighting game series, and Hudson's was Bloody Roar. And I know there's some people who like it. I'm not a fighting person too much anyway. And if I'm going to, I would go towards maybe more towards like crossover fighters or Street Fighter. But, you know, interesting at least to have on the system. Got some Bomberman titles coming up. Bomberman Generation. And Bomberman Jetters? Bomberman Jeters? I think it's Jeters, but the Bomberman Jeters anime has a song in it that sounds like the Seinfeld theme song. Just look up Bomberman Jetter's Seinfeld and you'll hear it. But I mean, just more Bomberman. Who doesn't love Bomberman at this point? If you know with Bomberman, you know. Chaos Field. I'm not a big space shooter fan, but this is kind of a shoot 'em up. I don't want to use the term shmup. It is a shoot 'em up, and if you're interested in that, give it a shot. I think Ikaruga is the more well-known GameCube shooter, but still might be worthy of adding to your collection. It is GameCube exclusive after all. This is an interesting one. I found this one at a Goodwill, I think like 2 years ago. City Racer. I mean, it's a pretty standard racing game, but for some reason this game commands like quite the price these days. I don't know why. I mean, I understand it's probably a pretty uncommon game, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend picking it up for a high price, but it was interesting at the very least to find in a Goodwill for, I think, $2. Crash: The Wrath of Cortex. I'm trying to weed out Player's Choice games in my collection, but I don't know how this one... I feel like I found this game since then, and I just didn't swap it out, which is dumb of me. This was when Traveler's Tales took over from Naughty Dog to make Crash games, and it went multi-platform. It was no longer... It started getting published by Universal. This one's fine. I don't think it's anything horrible, but I think when you're going, you know, for Crash games... I would stick to the original trilogy, and if you want to play something outside the original trilogy, I'd actually recommend the Vicarious Visions handheld games. Those are pretty good. But, I mean, they get worse, so as far as the other games, you're not doing too bad with that one. Crazy Taxi, port of the Dreamcast game. Crazy Taxi is a blast. It's fun. This was a good port of it, and Crazy Taxi is just awesome in general. I'm kind of surprised they don't have some kind of offer, whether it's free to play or just like a HD re-release or a new game. I'm kind of surprised that, you know, we kind of got those original 3 Crazy Taxi games, a couple little handheld spin-offs, and then we haven't seen anything since, because it's a great series. It's a lot of fun. Custom Robo. This one's one I found for 75 cents in a thrift store. And I played a little bit of it. It's something I'd like to put more time into. It seems interesting. I know this was, I think, one of 2 custom Robo games that we got in the United States, but it's a pretty popular series from Nintendo in Japan. I think there's something like 3 N64 titles, something like that for it. I might be wrong. But seems like a cool game. Oh yeah, now we're talking, guys. Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. This is, I have actually this complete in the box with the outer box and the mat and everything. A pretty substandard Dance Dance Revolution game with a Mario coat of paint. It's, as far as Dance Dance Revolution games go, it seems like it's pretty brain dead and kind of an odd, just an odd crossover. What do we got here? Defender, I don't remember where I got this from. I don't think I've checked it out yet. Seems to be like a reboot of the classic arcade game. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat? I said that like chills. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. This is a 2D platformer that you play with the Donkey Kong bongos. And if that sounds awful, somehow it's not. It's actually pretty fun. It's actually a pretty well-made platformer. It was developed by like the main, you know, Mario team at Nintendo. So this is not like just some crap spin-off. Yeah, it's very interesting. I would recommend checking this one out. And it's definitely an oddity, but I would say it's a pretty solid game. Trying to figure out where I put these so they don't start falling on me. Also have the Donkey Konga games here. Donkey Konga and Donkey Konga 2, which of course we all know has the classic song All-Star by Smash Mouth on it. I like these games. I know recently came out in, I think, Reggie's book or an interview or something. Reggie Fils-Aimé from, you know, former president of Nintendo America. But he said that he hated these games and he didn't want to have to like push them. But I think they're fun. I don't know. I'd like to get a copy next time I'm in Japan of Donkey Konga 3 because we never got that. But I don't know. I think these are fun. I used to play these ones a lot with friends, just messing around, joking around. I have four bongo sets, and I don't know. I think it's just a fun time, and I don't know. I like I like peripheral music games. So I had a period where I only played Guitar Hero and Rock Band for like 2 years. So might say something about me. Really cool game here. I think most people probably know this one, but Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. This was a Silicon Knights game. Dennis Dyack is a bit of a controversial, interesting character at the very least, but this was a Nintendo published, funded horror game in the vein of like trying to go for like a bit of a mixture of like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and then there's some like weird cosmic horror elements to it as well. Cool game. Definitely an oddity. I wish Nintendo would do more like this kind of stuff. And I wish they would have turned Eternal Darkness into like their Resident Evil horror series, but there's still an opportunity for them to do that. I know horror was not is not a huge genre for the past 20 years until really recently. So there's always an opportunity they might try something like that. But cool game. Would recommend it, although it is expensive. That's a hard thing with GameCube games, is that I recommend a lot of these games because I really like this library, but they're expensive. I understand that. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I've never been able to properly play this one because you have to have like co-op with the stupid GameCube link to the Game Boy Advance. So I've never got to properly play this one. I've heard the co-op is fun, and I've heard to stay away from the HD version because it sucks. So, okay. I'd be remiss if I did not shout out beloved Monster Hunter YouTuber Sky85 for this one. Check out his channel and subscribe because I owe him, because I accidentally scammed him and didn't realize it back then. So in 2013, I bought this game here, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, off of him for $10. And this was back in the day. This game was going for about 25 to 30-ish. So it wasn't like I ripped him off too bad. I just got it for $10 off of him because he said he had it. And I think anyone paying attention to GameCube games knows where this one lies now. But this is a great game. I played through it a couple years ago. Probably about when I got it, so a long time ago now. But this is a great game. I'm a big Fire Emblem fan, and this is, I would say, one of the better ones for sure. So, once again, I'd recommend it, but do you really want to hear that? Another great game that's expensive. Man, GameCube is great. F-Zero GX. This game's a blast. It's so hard. It's so much fun, though. This is a really great one. This was a flea market find. I think I got it for $5 back in the day. And yeah, if you can track this one down for a good price, highly recommend it. It's crazy we haven't seen F-Zero since. I always get a little frustrated because there was an interview a few years ago with the creative director, and he said, like, oh, we haven't done F-Zero because we only like to do things when we have a new spin on something or a new idea for something. And it's like, well, you could have done the first F-Zero game with online. That's a new spin. You could have done the first HD F-Zero game. That's a new spin. So it feels like we're never going to get F-Zero again. But this is a great one. This is a ton of fun. So highly recommend that one. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. This is the one true melee fighting game for the GameCube. Got some Harvest Moon games. Harvest Moon Wonderful Life. Harvest Moon Another Wonderful Life. I always find the history of Harvest Moon very interesting, just because, Natsume owned Harvest Moon in name only, but the developer then went to move on and make Story of Seasons. As far as Harvest Moon goes, I've not dabbled in it too much. I haven't played very much of either of these. I remember I played around with A Wonderful Life, but it's hard with a game like this because, it's a game that you're going to put a lot of time and effort into, and you don't always want to do that on the GameCube in the year 2022. You want to, maybe if a game comes out on Switch or something, but cute series at the least. I like the cow that they've kind of made their mascot. The cow that they've made their mascot is cute. It's a game I got with my GameCube as a kid when I got it for Christmas. Hot Wheels World Race. I remember it being a pretty fun racing game. The Hot Wheels racing games, believe it or not, are usually pretty solid. I guess there's not really too much you can mess up, but I remember this one being fun, kind of F-Zero like. I haven't played it in probably 16, 17 years, so um, take that with how you may. But another game I had as a kid, this is one of the few games I could get my mom to play with me. Incredibles Res of the Underminer. This one was developed by Heavy Iron Studios, who was kind of like the king of PS2 GameCube licensed games. They are, of course, Battle for Bikini Bottom and the SpongeBob movie game, which are pretty highly regarded licensed games, and they did the first Incredibles game as well. Yeah, I liked this game a lot as a kid. I would assume it's as far as Disney games, you could do a lot worse. I know a lot of people like to play kind of classic Disney games, and as far as that goes, you could do a lot worse. I think this one's probably pretty fine. I mean, once again, I have not played it in a long time, but could be a good game for like a young kid. No offense to my mom, but she wasn't exactly a gamer, so if she could wrap her head around it, I'm sure a young kid could. Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. It's a pretty well loved game for GameCube. I've messed around with it. It's pretty fun. It's kind of weird we don't get Hulk games. I mean, I think the last Hulk game we got was the movie, like the MCU movie tie-in game, which is so weird. But Killer 7, a Suda51 Grasshopper manufacture game. One I'd like to do a full playthrough of myself soon. I've not played through it fully, and I'm a big fan of Suda, so I'd like to play through this one very soon. But this was a garage sale find. Got it with a bundle of games and a box system for like $25, I think. So, gotta hit up those garage sales. And if you're new to the channel, that's how I do it. Lego Star Wars games. This is the one I got from Circuit City as a kid for $10. The original Lego Star Wars, and then I got this one. Oops, I dropped the disc out. I must not have put that right in the case when I was a kid. I got this one for getting good grades. Lego Star Wars 2. There's other better ways to play these now. I know the Complete Saga combined them both into a good package, and Skywalker Saga is not the same thing. They kind of remade them completely, but there's other ways to play these now. But fun classics. That first outing of the Lego licensed movie games. Got some Zelda here. The Zelda Collector's Edition promo disc. This is pretty nice. I believe I got this from a game convention. I bought it for $40, I think, back in the day. And has a lot of classic Zelda games, Zelda 1 and 2, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. Really can't go wrong. And it's crazy. I think they gave this out if you pre-ordered Wind Waker. So it's crazy that they were just willing to give that out back then. Now Nintendo keeps their classic games, guarded lock and key. Got here Four Swords Adventure. Once again, another game that is just, I've never done a full playthrough of this one because it's just kind of inconvenient to attempt to hook up 4 Game Boy Advances to a GameCube in the year of our Lord 2022. Ocarina of Time with the Master Quest. Another way to play Ocarina of Time. Can't complain about that. I mean, it's overstated, but the game's an all-time classic. It's great. Still one of the all-time best. Twilight Princess. Not my favorite Zelda game. I would say probably of the 3D Zelda games, it's my least favorite. But it's still good. It has a lot of great dungeons. I just hate the wolf stuff in this one. I would recommend this version over the Wii version, but I'd recommend the Wii U version. And I hope they port that to the Switch, because they did a good job with porting that one. Top 10 all-time game for me here. Wind Waker. Wind Waker's awesome. Wind Waker's so good. And this was my first Zelda game, so you can maybe say that's why I like it so much. But no, I think it's just so much fun. I like the sailing. I like it feels like a big world, even though it's not. It has that great exploration where the game, doesn't really have too many secrets, but it feels like there's a ton of secrets. This game's so good. Dungeons are great. Everything about it's great. Art style's great. So much fun. All-time classic. Favorite GameCube game, one of the best of all time to me. A couple interesting ones. We got here Lost Kingdoms and Lost Kingdoms 2. I don't know why I can't. Oh, here we go. More JRPGs for the GameCube. Pretty lost art, no pun intended. And these were developed by From Software, so kind of an interesting thing. Weird that they made 2 GameCube exclusives. Everyone knows them. Back then, at least, they were pretty PlayStation-centric with Armored Core and King's Field and who could forget Adventures of Cookies and Cream. But yeah, they kind of diverted over to the GameCube and did a couple exclusives and then obviously found success elsewhere. You might have heard of their games afterwards. Another great one, Luigi's Mansion. This game holds up really well. And I feel like this game, people don't kind of undersell this game. People don't give this game enough credit for how good it is. This game's really good. Luigi's Mansion's so classic. And it really is Nintendo's answer to Resident Evil, not in horror design, but in just level design. And it's awesome. Great game. Would recommend this one over the 3DS version from what I can see, because it loses a lot of its artistic flair. And I would also recommend, the second game is pretty alright, but I'd recommend the third Luigi's Mansion. That game's awesome as well. Got some Mario parties. Mario Party 4 is fine. I like the GameCube Mario parties. I'm not one of those people who says that the Mario parties after 3 are bad. I like them. They were doing like yearly releases for them, and I don't know if that was the best idea. And you can definitely tell that it wasn't the best idea when you get to Mario Party 5. I think that's the weakest of the Mario parties, to be honest. On the GameCube, at least. You know, there's some way worse stuff when you get later on. But as far as classic Mario Party go, this one is pretty weak. It's not bad by any means. And then I have the big box versions of Mario Party 6 and 7 as well. 6, I think, is my favorite GameCube one, and one of my favorite Mario Parties overall. I really like the different gimmicks they have for the stages. And, you know, the microphone stuff's a little bit of a gimmick, but you can live without that. But some really cool boards, and it's just a fun game overall, so I can't really hate on that one. And then 7, I think 7 is a pretty good one as well, kind of a continuation of 6 in a lot of ways, and not quite as good as 6, I don't think. It goes a little bit too back to basics a little bit too much, but still fun. Mario Party is my favorite Mario spin-off, so I have a lot to say about that series. I should have cleaned it. I don't know why this game is kind of dirty. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. I know a lot of people are pretty fond of this one as far as Mario sports games go. It's pretty solid. I just haven't played as much of it. I didn't grow up with this one, so I know a lot of people compared it to the new game and, like I said, it's pretty leagues ahead of that one. But I think in some ways it is. But you know, I can't play this one online multiplayer with my friends, so. Mario Kart Double Dash. I like Mario Kart Double Dash. The problem with me with Mario Kart is that I kind of just default to whatever the newest one is. Once again, I think it has to do with kind of the online multiplayer stuff. But this one's still pretty fun. The gimmick is kind of neat, although I don't really see much of a purpose of it. And I know a lot of people prefer the more technical Mario Kart of like Double Dash and Wii compared to the, I don't know, the more basic Mario Karts now. But I just think the stage design has gotten so great now. And still a fun game, though. I think Mario Kart's one of those series that just gets better with every installation, in my opinion. But that might just be me. Mario Power Tennis. I've never been crazy about Mario Tennis. With a golf game, there's a lot you can do with golf. But I just feel like with tennis, there's not much you can do that doesn't make it Pong with Mario characters. Tennis is not one of my favorite video games. I'm not a big sports person in general, but tennis is not one of my favorites when it comes to video game sports. Well, the Virtua Tennis is pretty solid. I don't know. Mario Superstar Baseball. You know, we haven't seen any Mario baseball games since Sluggers on the Wii. I wouldn't be surprised if that came back on the Switch, though. But once again, I'm not also crazy about video game baseball, but I like it more than tennis. Another all-time great, Metroid Prime. This game's so good. This game is just so well designed. It looks incredible for the GameCube. I'd love to see just an HD version. They don't even have to remake it. Just remaster this game in HD. It would already probably look so good, especially when you look at Mario Sunshine on Switch, where that game almost looks modern when you just bring up the resolution, put it in widescreen. With something like this, like that, this game would definitely look pretty modern. But awesome game. Metroid Prime is so good. And we also have Metroid Prime 2. I have not played this one to completion, so I don't have too much to say about it, but it didn't do it for me as much as Metroid Prime 1. Bit of a controversial one, but I like this one a lot. This was my first experience with playing through Metal Gear Solid, and it's the Twin Snakes. Another interesting one, Nintendo published this. It's a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid. Nintendo published it. It has all the different like physics and gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 2, which I can understand kind of breaks the game, but once again, another game that looks really good for the GameCube. Silicon Knights developed it, so they're back. And yeah, a very bizarre thing that even happened in the first place, but really cool. And I don't know, I like kind of the overtopness of it. I know some people say that they turned Snake a little too crazy, but I think it's funny. I don't know. Monsters Inc. Scream Arena. This is another one. I like collecting the ones that are only for GameCube, the GameCube exclusive games. This is another one I had as a kid, and I traded it off. This isn't my copy. And it's like, it's really weird, because you'd expect a Monsters Inc. game to be, something, like a platformer or something, but this is a dodgeball game. I remember thinking it was fun as a kid. Me and my friends played this game a ton as a kid, and I remember thinking it was fun. I haven't played it as an adult. Maybe I should try it out, but I don't know. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. I'm not huge on Mortal Kombat. I think it's a little too stiff, and this is kind of the forgotten era of Mortal Kombat. It was big in Super Nintendo, Genesis era, obviously, and into the PlayStation 1, and then this kind of era until Mortal Kombat 9, kind of the reboot, kind of just whatever, was forgotten. At least I know people like Shaolin monks and stuff like that, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Need for Speed Underground and Need for Speed Underground 2. These were two that actually when I got my GameCube, these were given to like my dad. Like these were the dad games to play, but I played them a lot too. They're fun racing games. I like the first one better than the second one, but they're fun racing games. Need for Speed Now is kind of crap, but these are classics as far as racing goes, and such a product of their era that kind of pimped out, Fast, Too Furious style cars is such a product of that era, and street racing and everything. Next game here, we got Barack Odama. This is an interesting game. It's like a pinball game, but you control it with the microphone, and then you got these little like armies going on. Really weird game. This is a Nintendo published game from them. I forget who developed it. I don't know if it says on the back. But I would recommend checking this one out. Nuance developed it. Or Vivarium. I don't know. I would recommend checking this out. I don't know if it's expensive. There is like an full outer box version that comes with a microphone that I don't have. I'd like to get that, but interesting game. Pac-Man Versus and Pac-Man World 2. Pac-Man Versus is really cool. I think that's the only way to get Pac-Man Versus is with Pac-Man World 2. And Pac-Man World 2 is a fun platformer as well, so this is a good package to pick up. A good package. And I want everyone to remember that the pack is back, guys. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Fun game. I like this one. I don't like it as much as the N64 game. I know that might be controversial, but I just don't think it's quite as good as the N64 game. That game is awesome. I think the first couple chapters in this one are kind of rough. I don't think they're great. I don't like the one where you have to like play Pikmin essentially. It's kind of annoying because those little things get stuck on stuff, but still a good game. One that's gotten way too expensive, though. Speaking of Pikmin, and Pikmin 2 here. I'd actually recommend the Wii versions of these. Well, I've never played the Wii version of 2 because it's pretty hard to find, but I played originally the Wii version of 1. This is the first way I played that game, and these games are a lot of fun. I really like them. I really like Pikmin as a series. Not hate Pikmin, that game is doo-doo, but Pikmin 1 and 2 are good times, and I like Pikmin 1 better. Pikmin 2, it's an interesting game. It's tough. It's pretty hard. It has like randomly generated dungeons. It's a strange game, but cover art on Pikmin 2 is great at the very least with that kind of claymation look. And Pikmin 3 is great as well. So, good series. I hope to see Pikmin 4. I know Miyamoto said in 2015 that they are about done with it, so thinking any day now. Pokemon Coliseum. I'm sorry, guys. I got this one at a garage sale with a GameCube for $10, and I've never played it. I'm sorry. I have played this one though, a little bit, never to completion. But Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. This is like a console Pokemon game, actually, like a full RPG. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. I at one point had the GameCube system, the XD Gale of Darkness GameCube system, with the special jewel emblem on the top. But it was really scratched up, so I sold it, and I wish I hadn't, even if it was scratched up. But what can you do? Rayman Arena. This was from a garage sale bundle. I haven't tried this one out, I don't think. I might have in the past, and I don't remember it, but I don't know. I think it's like a racing game where you race on foot. That was like a trend, kind of. Resident Evil, the remake on GameCube. This holds up really well, even on GameCube. But, I mean, especially like the HD version, you'd think you were playing a modern game. This game's really good. I recommend the YouTube channel, The Sphere Hunter. She did a really great video on this game, and just kind of going through how good it is. So I'd recommend her video on it, but I'm just really impressed with this game. And Resident Evil really is a quality series, and this is a great remake. This was a flea market find I got for $10. It is missing manual, but Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. It was interesting because they did this full-on remake for Resident Evil, and then we got Resident Evil 4, as a GameCube exclusive for a little while. But they released Resident Evil 2 and 3 essentially just the PS1 versions of the games, probably closer to the Dreamcast versions of the games with a little bit of graphical upgrade, but not remakes or anything. For I think like $20, and I would assume probably people thought these were remakes, but they're not. They are just, straight up ROM dumps essentially of the PS1 games. Interesting, but not a bad way to play them. And of course, we didn't get Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes for a long time after, so not till PS4. Speaking of a game getting remade, Resident Evil 4. Looking forward to the remake of this one, although, don't be fooled. Just because it's getting a remake, this game still holds up really well. And it's still a mixture of there's still some horror in this game. I see something like Resident Evil 5, which I just played through again this year, as definitely just an action game with zombies. There's no horror in that game. It becomes Call of Duty at the end. But there's still horror in this game, but you can definitely see where it's going into action. But it's still so good. Still so well made. It still holds up remarkably well. Graphics are still good. You just can't go wrong. And play this game on every system under the sun, including the Zeebo. So, if you haven't played this game, I would definitely check it out, GameCube or otherwise. Robotech Battle Cry. I don't remember where I got this one. I don't know much about Robotech. Another one I had as a kid that's probably not a great game, but I'm not going to play it again to tell myself that. Rocket Power Beach Bandits. Rocket Power, I liked this show a ton as a kid. I know people say it's kind of dated now, but I think that is part of the charm. I really liked this game as a kid just because it had like that skateboarding and roller skating stuff, but it also had like an open world version of the city they live in the show, which I thought was really cool. I can't imagine it's a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm going to just remember it as a game I liked. Another game I got from Circuit City as a kid, too. So bring back Circuit City. Simpsons Hit and Run. Obviously, this is the Grand Theft Auto kind of clone for the Simpsons. Another one of these classic PS2 era, GameCube era licensed games, and it's a pretty solid game. I'm not a huge Simpsons fan. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of The Simpsons. I know that make some people like shriek, but pretty solid game. Another one I'd like to do a full replay or a full playthrough of. I've dabbled with it, but I've never gone all the way through. Skies of Arcadia Legends. I got this one on trade credit for $80 a couple years ago. Definitely shut up since then, but really cool game from what I could tell. I've just not put in the proper time for it. My RPG backlog, you guys, it's a nightmare. Oh yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog. This is a game that if you were a boy around the ages of like 7 to 12 and had a GameCube, PS2, or Xbox, you had this game. This cover art goes hard. Shadow the Hedgehog is epic. The game sucks. This game, it's not a good game, but Shadow the Hedgehog, I don't know what about it. He appeals to every young boy. I don't know why. I think it's just because he's cool and he's edgy. There's minor swear words in this game. I don't know. It's not a very good game, but it definitely goes hard, if nothing else. Definitely screenshot that one. For some reason, I don't have Sonic Adventure DX. I've just never come across a copy, but I do have Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Fun game. I like Sonic Adventure 2. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's fun. It has its charm. It's definitely a product of its era, but it's still enjoyable, and I don't think it's bad by any means. And of course, the Chow Garden is an all-time classic. Another one I got as a kid, the Sonic Gems collection, also known as the Sonic Oh Crap We Blew Our Load collection, because they put everything on the Sonic Mega collection, all the good games. So they thought, what do we have left that we could put on here? And their answer was Sonic CD, which is a solid game. Sonic the Fighters, which is the arcade game that never had a home release, so kind of interesting, and Sonic R, which is a really bad Saturn game. There's also some Game Gear games, and that's about it. Not a great collection there, but I got that one with my GameCube as a kid because I liked Sonic on Genesis. Sonic Heroes, another game that I don't really think this one's very good. It's fine, but it kind of falls off a cliff. Like, you can tell this game was rushed or something. I don't know. But this game just reminds me of like when I first started collecting. This was one of the first games I got a deal on at like the flea market. I think I paid $3 for it. And I remember I was like, oh man, I just got a game for $3 out here. This is awesome. And so this is still that same copy. I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of those days where it's just like building up my collection this way. I'm actually buying games to keep them and not just occasionally keeping one and flipping them to get higher end stuff now. But yeah, it just reminds me of a good time. Soul Calibur 2, of course, you got to get it on GameCube. It has Link. The PlayStation one had Heihachi, I believe, and the Xbox one had Spawn. Just not even as good as Link. Come on, guys. Classic fighter. Not huge on fighters, but I can respect Soul Calibur for being pretty ahead of their time. GameCube Spider-Man, that's another one I had as a kid. I remember buying. And I didn't have Spider-Man 2. It's a much better game. GameCube Spider-Man 1 is fine. It's a pretty linear Spider-Man game. But Spider-Man 2, I know this is kind of a pretty big deal for open world games at the time. But didn't play it as a kid. I've only ever messed with it. Another one I had as a kid, classic game. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. This is a solid 3D platformer. We don't get very many 3D platformers these days. I'd recommend checking this one out, especially if you like SpongeBob. I don't think you're going to get a 10 out of 10 Mario experience. You're not even really going to get like a Crash Bandicoot experience or a Ratchet and Clank experience, but you will get a fun, solid 8 out of 10 platformer time. Especially I think your enjoyment will definitely go up too if you enjoy SpongeBob, you grew up with it like I did. And the remake on the modern systems is really good. Fun game. And this is my original GameCube memory card from when I was a kid that I threw in here. It broke. I remember my GameCube fell off the stand and got cracked, so I can't access anything on here, but I put it in the case. I don't know why. I have a lot of SpongeBob games. Come on, if you were born in the late 90s, your entire life was just Spongebob for several years. Lights, Camera, Pants. This is a pretty fun party game from what I remember. It had this cool thing where you would like compete against each other and then get roles in like a comic, and then there'd be like a cartoon, and then there'd be like a 10-minute Mermaid Man episode where they put like your character in that, and then so if you played as Squidward would play certain roles depending on what you won. And I remember playing this one with one of my friends who was my neighbor a ton, and it was we always had fun like trying to match up the show we got at the end or whatever with different characters. And oh, it would be really weird if Plankton played this specific character or something, or sometimes you have two of the same character playing two roles. I don't know. Fun game though. I would recommend checking it out as from what I remember, a solid party game. Might be blinded by nostalgia though. SpongeBob movie, another heavy iron platformer. Not as good as Battle for Bikini Bottom, but once again, when it comes to cartoon mascot platformers, it's a blessing that they're even half good. Spyro: A Hero's Tale. Not crazy about these Spyro games after the original. I feel like Spyro had a worse fate after the original trilogy than Crash did, but might just be me. Once again, Legend of Spyro: New Beginning as well. Game I just really don't like this game. This was the Kmart variant artwork, I guess, of it. Star Fox Adventures. Just don't like this game. Kind of a sad way to see Rare go from Nintendo. This was the last game that they developed on a Nintendo console, at the very least. They did some handheld stuff afterwards, but I don't know. Kind of a sad way to see Rare go. This game kind of sucks. Star Fox is in an interesting position where if you want to make a modern game out of Star Fox, you can't just put together, an experience that's only, flight versions. So there's some different ways of going about it. There is this, which making it almost a Zelda-like. This is obviously, we know this was Dinosaur Planet for N64 before they changed it over to Star Fox. So that was one way of going about it, is having some flight sections and then some on foot sections. The other way you can go about it is, I think, definitely fared better. This is the best Star Fox game after 64. Star Fox Assault, which this was developed by Namco. And this one is better. This box art goes hard. And I think this game fares a bit better, although it's not, like, amazing by any means. But you got more of those on foot. You got on foot sections, but they at least make more sense than trying to be a Zelda-like. And then the other way you can do it is just do on-foot stuff, or not, do no on-foot stuff, all flight stuff. Have a 3-hour game that's a piece of garbage in it. That game was Star Fox Zero. More Star games here. Star Wars Rogue Leader. This was a launch game. Pretty impressive graphically for the GameCube. I played Rogue Leader 3, and that game's pretty bad, though. Yeah. Mario Sunshine. Classic game. Awesome game. I went back to it on the Switch, though, and I was like, uh-oh, this isn't as good as I remember it being. This is another one I was crazy about when I was younger. And, yeah, playing it on the Switch, I was like, maybe this isn't... Some of these levels are pretty badly designed. I don't know about this, but... Nah, it's a fun game. The world is so cool to explore and everything. Mario Sunshine's awesome. Next up, some more awesome GameCube games. Super Monkey Ball. Epic. I gotta get a copy that's not Player's Choice of this. Super Monkey Ball 2. These games are so fun. These games are great. Monkey Ball's awesome, and they're so hard. Those games get to be like tough as nails. I love watching Monkey Ball speedruns because they're essentially just brain rot. Where you're like, I don't even know what I just watched there. But yeah, these games are a blast. They did the Banana Mania game on the modern platforms to kind of give you a little bit of that, although the physics aren't quite right. But yeah, Monkey Ball's awesome. Hopefully we can see more of it soon. Getting towards the end of the library here. One of just the weirdest things for me, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Player's Choice. I do garage sailing. I've done it for years, almost a decade. I've been going to flea markets, finding games, making deals and bundles for cheap games and stuff. This is the only copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee I've ever found. Guys, I've found some very rare games and very uncommon games in my time of going out doing game hunting. And this is the only copy I've ever found. I've never once found this game anywhere else. It's so strange because it's such a common game for GameCube. I know it has some value, but I don't know. It was $1. It doesn't have the manual. It's like this is one of, like my white whale essentially, and it shouldn't be, But this is random. But as far as the game goes, I don't. What do I have to say that hasn't been said about Melee? It's fun, but I'd rather play Ultimate. I'm gonna be honest. Tales of Symphonia, classic RPG, probably like the quintessential GameCube JRPG. Good time, good game. Tales series, definitely. If I'm recommending, if you're to recommend someone the Tales series for a newcomer, I would probably recommend this one, Vesperia, Exilia, or I guess Arise. Although I haven't played too much of that one. It's another one I forget. I think this was a GameCube. This is a garage sale GameCube bundle. Teen Titans. I never grew up watching the show or anything. I have no affinity to it, but I've heard it's a decent brawler. I can say though I've never checked it out. Tetris World. I don't really know how you can mess up Tetris. Tetris is just Tetris, guys. You can't, I don't know how you would mess it up. I don't know what you could do with that. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. It's interesting to look back and see, like, man, GameCube really got, like, third-party support. They got stuff like Splinter Cell, which you wouldn't see that on the Switch. I know Wii U got Splinter Cell Blacklist, I guess, but this was a AAA game of its time, and you just don't see that on the Switch very often. This was obviously not day and date since it was Xbox exclusive first, but Splinter Cell's a cool game. I'm kind of surprised that they like to kind of bring out Sam Fisher and say, like, oh, hey, you guys recognize this, right? But they never want to do anything with Splinter Cell. This game right here is when I realized that anyone trying to collect GameCube games now is just screwed. Wario World. Why is this game like a $100 game? I got this game for like $5 back in like 2012, 2011. This is developed by Treasure, who most people know for like Mischief Makers, Gunstar Heroes, stuff like that. And it's fine. Like, it's just a game. Like, it's Wario and you kind of punch stuff and you get treasure. It's fine. It's not spectacular. It's like a pretty 6 out of 10 game. I would not recommend paying very much for this one, but I don't know. And the last American game I have a few Japanese games I'll go through as well. But the last American game, Wave Race Blue Storm. Yeah. Graphics are really good for GameCube. And it's Wave Race, so it's fun time, but not much I can say about it. And I also don't want this video to be 8 years long. Go into some Japanese games. Interesting just to mention, Japanese GameCube games come in cases that look like this. So you might recognize this as like the GameCube Game Boy Advance player. That's how we got that game, or that software. So it has the slipcover and the little case and everything. And I always like this design. I do have a Japanese GameCube. I have the Spice Orange one in the box that I got for like $50 when I was in Japan. Crazy stuff. But this is a Nintendo puzzle collection. They were planning on localizing this in the United States, and they didn't. I don't know really why. There's not much to localize here, but pretty, it has Yoshi's Cookie paneled upon in Dr. Mario. It's, as far as, a puzzle game goes, it's a Nintendo puzzle game. It is what it is. The good thing is there's really no need for localization on this, so you could play that game if you have a Japanese system, you can play it with a decent, without really needing too much explanation. I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. I don't know what this is. I also don't know what this is. Is this what is this game? I don't know. Someone can tell me. Let me know. It's a Sega game. What's that game? Is this Amazing Island? Not sure. I know this one. This is obviously Ribbit King, this did come out over here, but it's really expensive now. It's like $200 plus game. A weird like frog golf game. Everyone's making these frog indie games now, and this, Bandai made out here putting out Ribbit King like 20 years ago. But and then finally, this is Animal Crossing. Japanese copy, since it's awesome game. We all know Animal Crossing was originally on the N64, but this is the Animal Crossing Plus as a Dobatsu no Mori Plus that they put out on GameCube that we ended up getting, released stateside. So I thought that was just cool to have in the collection. But that's it. After, God, who knows, almost 50 minutes, this collection video is done. And yeah, I showed off my collection. So let me know what you think of my collection. What your collection looks like. There are some games I'm still missing I'd like to get. I don't have the WarioWare game. I'd like to get that. I don't have, obviously, the big guys. I'd like to get Cubivore and Gotcha Force and Go-Go Hypergrind. Those games actually look pretty cool. And the big one I really would like to get is Chibi Robo. I never played that one, and that game looks fun. But yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Follow me on Twitter at Objo Gaming. And until next time,